Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump and the Cranky Fan, your favorite Giants podcast. I'm your host, the Football Grump. With me as always is Mike, the Cranky Fan, and it's been a minute, man. It's been 2 weeks. I'm in my new digs. We haven't really been able to connect, but here we are, back at it.
You've been with your other wife for quite a while, Grump, so I'll allow that. It's fine. So how's it feel to be a Southern redneck now?
Oh yeah, that's clearly what I am. I'm having a good time in my new digs. It's been a little exhausting. Don't move. I don't recommend it. It's not fun. If you do, take like a whole week off from work. Make that a priority. I took 0 days off, and I'm shot, which is exactly why we are where we are. With missing a week's worth of talking back and forth, you and me, I have this ridiculous looking background right now while I settle into my new place and get some new furniture that fits my new place. So bear with me for a little bit, but this will be the Just Giants Studios 2.0 going forward. Is this wonderful room here, which is a lot nicer. I can make it a lot brighter, which is nice if you guys haven't noticed. And I have a ceiling fan, so I'm not sweating my balls off recording, which has been, I don't know if that ever comes through on camera, like especially throughout the summer episodes and stuff. Because I know, like, because before we start recording, I'll like ask you, like, can you hear my air conditioner? Which doesn't come through, but it will also, in my old place, the air conditioner wasn't even in the same like room as me. So it took like a solid 45 minutes for me to even feel the temperature change.
No, you look good. Thank God we can't smell on this because I'm sure you smell really bad from being hot. But no, it's good. I'm here at Cranky headquarters as always in beautiful Greenwich Village. I am drinking out of my south of the border mug where we're T-minus 3.5 weeks to go before our big remote broadcast.
Oh yeah, and
which I think at this moment I might be more excited about than the start of the Giants season.
But, I know you're like you guys are. I've never been there, so this is going to be I guess like a life-changing experience for me. Or should I temper my expectations?
I think you're somewhere between a life-altering change and very seriously tempering your expectations.
very seriously.
There's a sweet spot between the two. It's kind of one of those things where, there's something you've loved all of your life, and then all of a sudden you bring like a new girlfriend or a wife, and you're like, oh, this is my favorite movie forever. And you're like, I don't get this shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it might be for you. But for Bobby and I, we are going to be like two pigs in shit there. I can't wait to go. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It seems a little dubious to me. What's weird is I know I'm gonna have a great time because I'm going with you guys. So like I know it's gonna be just like a silly little blast. Like we could be going anywhere. You know what I mean? We could be going to.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea.
Anywhere.
Name a place, Branson, and we would have a good time. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's a big deal going out there, and that'll be like my first real big trip since moving down here. And it's kind of is it the college football kickoff that weekend, or is that the second week?
It is that weekend because I am actually driving from New York to south of the border for the show on the Friday, and then driving from there right to Gainesville for the first Gator game of the season. So this is I got a big weekend. I got south of the border Friday, I got the Gators on Saturday, and I have Oasis at the Meadowlands on Sunday. So
you're an Oasis guy, huh?
I'm an Oasis guy, so that'll be a huge 3 days for me. So I'm very, very pumped.
Nice.
Then Monday's Labor Day, when we're off on Monday for Labor Day. So.
Oh, you're always off.
That's true. I'm never on. That's for sure.
But it's been a minute. I think since the last time we got together, we had some Candlewick Diner for breakfast. We had training camp in the morning because we were at Candlewick like bright and early. And then
it was nice to see other Giant fans showing up there too. Like we got there, we were there probably like 8 o'clock in the morning, and as we were leaving, we
Mhm.
saw a couple of families dressed in complete big blue and stuff. That was nice. So keep supporting those guys.
Oh
Good
yeah.
pan. I recommend the silver dollar pancakes. Very delicious.
I think I went Jersey Strong and had Taylor ham, egg, and cheese.
Very very solid. Very solid.
And we went to practice, and
Mm.
we ended our day with some white manna in Jersey City.
Damn, what a day! I mean,
Yeah.
that was the culinary tour of the Garden State was perfect that day.
Yeah.
The white manna was fantastic. I don't know. I've not been to the one in Hackensack. I've been to the one in Jersey City several times, and it was just maybe because of the heat or whatever. But I only had I think 3 burgers. There are days I feel like I'd have 10 of those little suckers. So
Oh yeah. I think I had six. And if honestly, if we didn't get breakfast that morning, I probably would have had 10, like easy. That shit is so good. Anyway,
you, you know
enough
you know
about
it's.
food.
Oh yeah, we're a Giant show.
Yeah. Um, Lots of training camp stuff. So I just wanted to go over my thoughts on some of the stuff. So we got to see that first training camp practice, which unfortunately is sort of like a BS practice in a lot of ways. It's like they do strictly red zone to keep them from having to run, large stretches of the field on the first day. Was unpadded, so you don't see a whole lot. It's the first day, so there's a lot of kicking the rust off. It wasn't a super intense practice, but I kind of wanted to just go through like my thoughts on some of the things that I'm seeing in reports of practice. And everybody who's going to practice every day is doing some really really great work. Obviously, Bobby with Giants Nation show talking Giants is there. NYG Daily has been there. So lots of people have been there reporting on things they see at practice. I think Big Blue Huddle, I think every year goes to like every open practice as well. So there's been lots of reports coming out of camp, and of course the beat writers. And we have our first upcoming preseason game this Saturday against the Bills. So I just kind of wanted to like reconcile what I'm hearing versus what I want to see in a real situation, in a game situation, as opposed to scripted practices and things like that.
Okay, let's go.
So, I mean, I guess the number one thing right off the bat is we should probably, I guess, just talk quarterback, right? Um, the deep
It's
ball,
the
and Russell Wilson in the deep ball has been on full display, and I expect, like, I think we talked about this like ad nauseum, but like there's going to be no excuses for the Giants not having chunk plays this year. It's part of Daboll's personality. He likes to be aggressive for one reason or five reasons, whether it's Daniel Jones' injury, Daniel Jones has, had the teeth removed from him by Jason Garrett and became a different player later on, whether it was Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock or Tyrod Taylor who had to take the reins when he
or
wasn't there, or Nick Boyle, or who else am I
or
missing?
the offensive line just being shitty for no time to throw the deep ball. There's a
That
lot of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And they've piecemealed together an offensive line that should be competent. They got themselves a player who is a good anticipatory player. He's got a good deep ball to him. He likes to be aggressive as well. Deep ball is the best part about his game. We should be seeing that, and we're seeing it all the time in practice. That's all we're hearing about, and there's plenty of clips coming out. So that's validation to me. Seeing that is good news.
Sure, sure. I mean, for no other reason, it changes the way the defense gets ready to prepare for you. I mean, if there's no threat of the deep ball or no threat of you know anything that's explosive, you creep up to the line of scrimmage. It makes the running game harder. It does everything. But now you have to at least respect it. And it doesn't mean we're going to execute at a level of what Russell Wilson was capable of 4 or 5 years ago. But still, the threat of it just automatically loosens up the defense and how they're scheming you, and opens up other parts of your offense. Something we just haven't had in you know quite a while.
Yeah. Back that mic out of your mouth. You just adjusted
Oh,
it. Yeah.
it's so tasty.
There you go. The other thing I want to talk about is Jackson Dart.
Mhm.
Jackson Dart, his first camp throw was a pick six, which is hilarious.
We both looked at each other the second it happened, just like, yep.
But it's good to see that I don't think that I think he's progressing along well. He's had a couple of days in a row where he looked good. He's had some down days. It's all part of the process, and it fills me with happiness to know that they came into this with a plan. Whether or not Jackson Dart is the best quarterback that they could have gotten, or maybe they should have lost a game against Indianapolis and gotten Cam Ward, who looks like a stud in Tennessee, or whatever. But
it's irrelevant now. I mean, that's all done. That doesn't matter anymore. This is our guy, and what do we do moving forward? So you're right. I mean, you can be that fan out there who's just going to be comparing everything to what your expectations were and what you wanted and what we should have done. Or you just say, okay, like I always say, what's past is prologue. Here we are. How are we getting this guy ready to ultimately be the starting quarterback of this team? And you're right. I like what I'm seeing so far of the plan for him, because I honestly don't care if he has a good day today, a bad day tomorrow, and an even day this day. It's something I'm more intrigued and appreciative of how they are utilizing him with the twos, and even sometimes with the ones a little bit. Like, they're giving him taste. They're giving him just enough that he's not swimming in it, but they're throwing him into the somewhat deep end for some things to test what he can do. That testing is what they need to evaluate, or how they need to work with him for this year. So, don't hang on every single report on, oh, he was 3 of 6 today, or he threw a pick 6 in the first game, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. We're still kind of level setting where we're starting with him as we get him prepared for the future.
Absolutely. And I like that they're sprinkling in some reps with the ones for him, because, and this is going to transition to what I expect on Saturday and stuff, but I just hate to see a guy like that. Like, I understand he has to be third in the depth chart, but being surrounded by threes, I mean, it becomes hard. Like, how is he supposed to be confident in what he's doing when, you have fringe guys who don't really belong on an NFL field running the wrong routes or missing blocking assignments, and the whole play is blown up immediately. Like, he should be with the threes, but every once in a while giving him a drive with the ones puts him in the situation is like, you gotta step up, you gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta tell these guys, because they're gonna go where they're supposed to go. And I think that's good.
If I'm a weightlifter and all of a sudden I just got behind, on the bench, and I'm trying to bench 150 pounds, that's not telling me anything. Sometimes I have to put 330 on the bar to see, can I do it or not? And that's what they're doing right now. If he's just playing with just the threes, what are you really accomplishing?
Right.
You're not testing him. So you're not getting a real understanding of where he really is. He could be a men among boys playing with the threes. That doesn't really give you an honest assessment of where he is. That says, okay, great. He's better than a practice squad collection around him. Doesn't tell me anything. It's not testing where, things that need to be worked on, in individual drills by himself, or, as the season progresses to get him ready. So, yeah, I mean, you don't want to have him play with the ones, because you have a season to prepare for. And also, you don't want to shatter confidence either, where you throw too much at him too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're doing the right thing right now with him, of getting him acclimated to an NFL camp, NFL team, and occasionally dropping him in on the deep end and to evaluate where he's at.
And as far as Saturday goes, I kind of would rather see Tommy DeVito out there with like the threes. I mean, part of it is I don't want him being JJ McCarthy. You know what I mean? Behind a third string offensive line, and the thing to remember too is that, like, defenses are oftentimes ahead of offenses early on in the preseason, because defense is pretty straightforward for the most part, especially when you're talking about like defensive line. Offensive line, you have a hodgepodge of guys up there. Some don't belong there at all. They haven't gelled together. They haven't worked together. You make a call, the guy misses a block, and all of a sudden you have somebody getting a free rush at your quarterback. It happens. You know what I mean? And I even think back to 2011, the Jets preseason game where Victor Cruz like made his statement. You know what I'm talking about? Little known thing, Jim Sorgi was the backup quarterback that they signed. I think he was placed on IR after that game because he got absolutely clobbered on one play, and I don't think he ever ended up playing. That was like their backup plan. And it got completely ruined by just a preseason game.
Yeah, I feel for a couple of things where I'd like him to get in. One, I he's been waiting for this moment, and to me, let's get him in there and get that first game jitters and stuff out of the way already. Because that way he's in, he's gonna take a couple, he'll get some snaps, he may take a hit or something, but I think if you just kind of like, if he doesn't play the first game, then it's another week of anticipation and anxiousness. I mean, he is a rookie. He is a young guy. I think you just kind of get him out there, knock those cobwebs out a little bit and just, okay, we're past that. You've been in a game already. Now you can relax. And, the next time you're in, be a little more, you know, purposeful as opposed to like, holy shit, I'm in a game. Also, we have 3 new quarterbacks on this team. And I've said it before preseason started. One of my goals was to take this whole training camp a little more seriously and preseason seriously. Tommy DeVito is not in the future plan for this team. He's not going to be on the roster when the season starts. I think that the 3 guys on the roster need to be the guys playing in a preseason game. I understand completely the concern about injury and, worrying about that type of thing, but you have to kind of play your game too. And if this wasn't such a fluid, brand new quarterback room, I'd feel differently, but we have 3 guys who are learning a new system, a couple of those extra snaps, whether, Russell plays another series than he normally would, and Jameis playing, a little longer into the 3rd and 4th quarter than he normally would. And then Jackson Dart playing maybe an extra series than you normally would. I think it's worth it for these, 3 preseason games as we get ready.
I just flat out disagree. So I'm not saying don't play Jackson Dart. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying keep the second stringers out there when he's out there. When you go to your 3rd string wide receivers and, wide receivers, it's a little bit deeper. But when you get to your 3rd string offensive line, I'd rather Tommy DeVito be out there. I just would. I mean, at that point, again, like I don't really need to see Jackson Dart in that situation. And also, I don't think Jackson Dart is playing this season any more than Tommy DeVito is. If Russell Wilson gets hurt and he's going to be down for the rest of the year and you go to Jameis Winston, they're signing a quarterback off the street to be the new backup. That's the move.
Yeah,
At that point, yes, I totally agree. Don't sit Jackson Dart. Don't not play him, but don't put him in a situation where you're going to lose a whole year of getting reps, and practice because he gets, tears an ACL, whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Well, let's look at the other way then. Like, why do we have to have the 3rd string playing so much in this game anyway? I mean, I always feel like these preseason games are wasted because we're over evaluating, guys that are either going to be in the practice squad or like we're worrying about the 50th guy on the roster. I mean, I want these games to get us prepared for the season more.
Yeah.
So maybe the second string, the first and the second string play more where that 3rd string time is much less condensed than what we normally see. Like, why are we watching the second half of this game? It's just a bunch of scrubs we're not going to see ever anyway. So maybe it's just a philosophical difference I want to see is,
I get
less
that.
3rd strings at all.
Yeah. I totally understand that. I don't know how much that's going to be in the first preseason game, but if it's me running the team now with 3 preseason games, I think I put like a decent emphasis on the starters playing in the first one. I really invest in them playing in the second one, having them play for the longest stretch of time in the second preseason game. And then in that 3rd preseason game, you depending on how they've looked, like if you look absolutely abysmal with your starters, then obviously you're abridging this. But if all looks, like the way you wanted it to, more or less in that second preseason game, you give them a drive or 2, and then you pull your starters, and then you use the rest of that 3rd preseason game to evaluate and make sure that you're picking the right guys to round out the last, 5 spots of your roster / practice squad / first guys you call when you got to fill up roster spots. Let's slide on to running back. And one thing that I thought was really interesting, Cam Scadaboo is showing up way earlier than I expected. Right now, he's dealing with, I think, like a hamstring thing where they've just like moved him off to the side. But I thought, and again, like these aren't game scenarios, so when the pass blocking thing gets to be a real deal situation, perhaps this will be tempered back. But like they're raving about his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, his multitude of like skill sets. I'm excited that Scadaboo is. I think at this point it's like almost a guarantee that he's going to have like some decent portion of the season getting some snaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it before camp started. That was one of the guys I thought was going to be a surprise, and I think I even mentioned something like, is Devin Singletary assured to be a roster spot? Like, would he be one of those cuts or something? Because I thought Scottaboo might make that much of a difference. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but I've been, pleasantly surprised means I'm surprised by as well he's been playing, and I'm not as surprised I think as most people are. So I'm just pleasantly right now.
Yeah, and I think so that's the thing. Like I still think that Motor has some value to this team. I think he's the most steady pass blocker. I think he's the most well-rounded back where he can do a little bit of everything just fine. And well, but I mean, it just financially, it makes no sense to move. They're not going to move on from him because it just would cost. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
But this is a good thing is you
point.
now have three guys. Like you can give them defined roles. If a guy is hurt, there's no need to play a guy who's hurt. He can just rest, and you don't have to take a beat off. And beat off. And also Brian Dable has the way he turned to Tyrone Tracy so early last year, and when Tracy did well, he just kept it with the hot hand. And it's a guy who had only one season as a running back under his belt going into the season. So I don't think that Dable is going to be shy about giving Scadaboo the reps that he thinks he deserves. So that's good to me. I'm happy to see that. I thought it was going to be one of those things where it's like a guy who has the highlight plays. He played at like a football school, but in a conference that stinks more or less. He's got the name thing, you know what I mean? Where he's got a name that you can.
Relatively stinks, but it's still major college football. I mean,
of course,
he didn't go to he didn't go to Iona. I mean, I don't look at people that much differently who are in the Big 12 or the ACC that much differently from the SEC. I mean, it's if they're coming from a much lower tier, that's where I put that up. But again, he did play in the Big 12, so
for a year, and before that, it was the Pac-12. So
okay, but still,
I'm just saying. My point is that he had all of the ingredients to be the guy that like a Northeastern fan that doesn't really pay attention to college football would cream their pants over, only to be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? So like that lofty expectation. Exactly. He's like a cookie cutter of what was going to be like the New York fans' disappointment.
I saw him in a bowl game, and we got to draft him in the first round, even though I've never heard of him before I watched this bowl game.
Yeah. So
who is that center who was drafted a couple of years ago? Linderbaum, right? Nobody in the Northeast ever heard of this guy into the bowl game. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, that guy, we got to draft him. We got to draft him. We got to draft him. It's like you never heard of him until you watch this bowl game. So this is another one of those examples. And but so far now that we've had him and we've got him in camp, he's doing things that are kind of justifying.
Oh yeah.
Justifying what your eyes saw in a very small sample size of a bowl game.
I'm a little interested to see what Dante Miller shows in this game. So because Scadaboo is hurt, Miller is probably going to get a ton of snaps. I don't think we'll see a ton of Tyrone Tracy. I don't know why I almost called him Adrian Tracy. Boy, that's funny. Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary, I think we'll see some of. Scadaboo is not going to be there, I don't think. Rushawn Baker was just waived injured, so they pulled Jonathan Ward, I think, running back that they just went. So I think Dante Miller is going to get his chance to show that he's not just fast, he can be a running back. If he can do that, he'll add some value to this team, I think. So I'm interested to see what Dante Miller also does on Saturday, because we won't get to see Scadaboo. Moving to tight end, not like a ton other than Theo Johnson, I think this season is going to be able to be showcased a little bit better. I mean, number one, he's got a whole season under his belt where he's now, he's played an NFL season. The expectations are there, but also I think that Russ will target tight ends better. So I'm excited to see with that, but I don't know how much that's going to be on display this Saturday. But it's been kind of a quiet position group as the tight end group this training camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think you might see the tight ends more in a game where all of a sudden you have like a guy like Jameis Winston playing a lot of snaps in the second and third quarters of this game. I just have that feeling. So, we're expecting, when you have things like, as we talked about earlier in the show, the more of the threat of the deep ball, and you're going to have Malik Neighbors being the guys that take the top off and all these different things, there should be more looseness for the tight ends over the middle and underneath to do things. So, somebody's going to take the bull by the horns, and, this could be Theo Johnson's year. Any thoughts about Bellinger? Is he a guaranteed lock on this team?
In my opinion, well, I think there are very few guaranteed locks, but in my opinion, I think that he's in. I don't know that he has a ton of competition that's going to kick him out. Like, you have, Theo Johnson might be the tight end one, but remember, it's not like Theo Johnson had some great year last year that he's building off of. This is expectation. There's that. Chris Manhertz is a block first guy. Greg Dulcich, he might be, Russell Wilson's, personal favorite, but he's more of a receiving tight end, doesn't really do much at all in the blocking game. Daniel Bellinger, to me, does everything fine. He's average at everything that he does, which is blocking, move blocking, running routes, catching the ball. I mean, he's not like a big drops guy. The ball goes his way, he's pretty much catching the ball. He's a move the chains kind of guy, unheralded. I'm not going to sit here and make the case that he should be re-signed to an extension or anything like that, but in my opinion, they don't have a well-rounded tight end on this roster. Not yet. I think Theo Johnson could be that guy, but it's not like he had a good year last year or anything like that. It's just been, a year. Mm-hmm. You're kind of hoping that he becomes something, but in my opinion, I think Daniel Bellinger is an underappreciated member of this team. It not to say that it can't be upgraded, but I don't believe it's been upgraded yet.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know if you feel differently.
I don't know. I feel like just the whole position group needs an upgrade as it is. And I think that might be something that's targeted a lot more, next year's draft or next year's free agency. I think they hold their own for right now, but something they're definitely going to look forward to in the future.
I don't know why my webcam just decided to go out of focus. I'm sorry, trying things, but I don't really feel like ending this recording to fix it. So I guess I'll just be blurry for some reason. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Moving forward to the offensive line. What?
I was saying my contacts are all blurry right now also, so okay. We're in perfect. I can't see anything, and we can't see you, so perfect.
The offensive line, I think, is probably the most interesting part of everything with this Giants team for the last couple of years now. But Andrew Thomas is still rehabbing from his Lince Frank injury that he suffered last year. There seems to be little doubt at all that he'll be ready for the start, but that still does make me nervous that he's not really out there at all. But that has given us a look at Marcus Bowe, who was a draft pick that I think is looking a little bit better than I expected. I thought like a whole year was going to have to go before we'd see anything of promise from him. But even though I'm not hearing reports that he looks great and shutting guys down, I'm not hearing reports that he's a turnstile. And really, truly, honestly, I don't really ever recall training camp where there's not a high draft pick involved, where they're a singular offensive lineman is being written about as doing well. You know what I mean? Anytime a particular offensive lineman is mentioned in training camp practice notes, it's usually because he's been horrible.
No news is good news with these guys.
But I think it's just the nature of things, right?
Mhm.
defensive linemen can look good. They can get past the offensive line and have would-be sacks, and that's like, oh, he had a good day today at camp. But like, there's not a whole lot of like singular offensive linemen where you're just like, oh, he had a great day today. Nobody could get past him. It's just not like a thing that you read about. It's just not. It's just not how like the human perception thing
Well,
is, I think.
it also works so much as a unit too.
That's what
I
I
mean,
mean.
it's not
Yeah.
just yeah. You look at it in terms of the collective. The line looked good today. The line did a good job of, and and also as we're getting more and more into you know really stimulating real life scenarios. Like the beginning of camp is a lot of stuff in running around in underwear and and it's 7-on-7s, and now we're getting more into preparation for games and preseason games. You're going to see more realistic things to make analysis on, as opposed to okay, you look good in this practice, but he's wearing shorts, so you're not really doing everything you can do.
It's getting blurrier and blurrier by the second. No, but I completely agree. I'm interested. So basically, training camp practices, it's not really a great spot to be like hearing news about a particular offensive lineman, except for like, again, 1v1 drills, which are sort of bullshit because, you have, defensive linemen operating with tons of room on their left and right side to do things that just won't happen in a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what Marcus Bowe does in a game. So I that's definitely something I want to see. I'm interested whether it's left side, right side, because if he's good enough to win that right side, I don't have to worry about the fact that Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent next year and is definitely commanding a decent chunk of money the Giants definitely don't want to spend. I don't, and it might solve problems we don't even know we have. Greg Van Roten being the right guard again this year, while not being the worst offensive lineman on the line the last couple of years at all, is certainly not like someone to brag about. Jermaine Illuminor has that inside-outside versatility. So, obviously you don't want to play musical chairs after putting Illuminor at tackle to just kick him inside. But if it's the best case for your line to have Illuminor at right guard and Bowe at right tackle, then that's the best case. You do your best case. You know what I mean?
And also what it does is, the other hot topic of this thing is Evan Neal. It doesn't force you. It doesn't put him in a position to be right guard when he may not be ready to be right guard, in the rotation yet or something. You have a little play with him that you can kind of ease him into that rotation or play him when necessary. I think a lot of people are thinking, well, he makes a move to right guard, he has to start, or he's in competition to start. And I haven't looked at it at all that way. I'm looking at it as he needs to. He's learning a new position, or he's played it before in college, whatever. He's still learning at the NFL level. Let's get him ready for when he's ready. And now all of a sudden, if we have, if Illuminor can kick inside a little bit, then we're not having to rush that process with him, and a guy who's a big question mark anyway. So I think it helps everything out.
Yeah, I mean,
regarding Evan Neal,
it also adds in the other element, right, of John Michael Schmitz not being the best guy. Greg Van Roten is that backup center. Maybe that's the better move. Maybe JMS needs some humbling. The other thing to is Evan Neal at guard and the reports of him at guard. Look, I've seen the videos of him looking okay. I've also seen videos of him continuing to look like shit. I'm gonna repeat this, and obviously Saturday is a big day. Him in a game situation will possibly sway my opinion one way or another. I gotta see it to believe it. I'm tired of getting hyped up on this. I'm willing to take the loss. Sometimes you just miss, and they might have missed on Evan Neal. Now, if it works on the inside, it works. But to me, I think that the problems with Evan Neal are not completely masked by just kicking him inside, and I think that I think that Evan Neal gets like a 5-point head start on anything just because they're going to try and salvage any last bit that they can from this draft pick. Then you know what I mean?
You know what I got to see from Evan Neal? I got to see him do what he does best. I want to see him stop, block for running. Be a cog in the run game. If he does that well, which that's That's what we're told. He could be a good phone booth guy. He could stop the run. He can block for the run. He has problems pass blocking, but he's good in the running game. I want to see that. Give me something to say, okay, I know this guy, he could be counted on to help us in the running game. That's something. If I see shakiness in that, it's like, what do I have to hang my hat on? We know he's got problem pass blocking. We know that's the reason, the biggest reason why he's being kicked inside anyway, and he's been deemed a failure
Well,
out at
I think
tackle.
it's specifically the foot speed. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
forcing him to get kicked inside. Like it's gotten all to his head because he can't get to the spot fast enough. So then he's cheating to get there, and then he gets all off balance, and then guys just work the inside on him, and he gets all turned around. He's in his head. Everyone's too fast for him. I think he's
Okay, then
y-
that's fine. That falls under what's past his prologue.
sure.
He's now a guard, and let's at least see the things that we think he does well. And if I can see that, okay, then it can at least be, even situationally used or part of a rotation. But if we see him struggling, even, getting blown up trying to run block, then it's just like, well, a plug may be pulled quicker
Hmm.
if he's not doing well with that. If he's at least if they're running the ball well to the right side, he's doing a good job. He's part of a offensive line that's getting a push, all that stuff. Okay, we know we have something, and we know to work on, which may never be good, but at least it's something. And again, we're talking about salvaging a career as somebody. Hopefully, we can have is a depth guy for the rest of this contract. I really don't think he's going to be around after the contract is up, but while he's here, he's here. And this to me is the start of really evaluating is what is he worth and is there anything of value. So let's see him do the things he supposedly does well. Let's see him do that well to start.
Right. I want to talk about the two most exciting people, but we're going to go back to back. So let's move to wide receiver. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, Malik Neighbors has looked like an elite wide receiver. He looks like an alpha wide receiver, the guy who's the cog in the offense. He's the threat. He's what everyone's worried about, and it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. He's the guy. He's catching everything thrown his way. Um, are you as jacked up about this as I am?
I think he's my number one bubble wrap guy. And I think that meaning that that's the guy I don't need to see much out of him in camp. And that goes against what I said earlier about, maybe, to get this team ready for training camp, ready for the regular season, maybe have your ones out there a little longer and your twos out there a little longer. This guy is going to be so important to this offense. He is the one true, it's him and Andrew Thomas are the two
Yep,
most,
that's exactly what
they're
I
the
was
two
going to
most
say.
they're the two most important people on this. Um, I don't need him getting hurt in training camp. I know what he can do already. I know it's only, still very early in his career as well, but I'm okay with him just getting, a series or two and then we sit him. We don't need to prove anything in training camp with him. To your point, he's looked really good. Whoever the quarterback is getting him the ball, he's showing that he is beating, this secondary. Let's let's be careful with him during training camp because if he goes down, you know, yeah, Russell Wilson throws a pretty deep ball, but that deep ball is really going to be really effective when you have an elite weapon to throw it to.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah,
100%.
and and one last thing about it, I said also comparing him with Andrew Thomas. I want to get back to that for one point. I'm officially kind of worried about Andrew Thomas, to be very honest. I know I put him in the same class as Neighbors as the importance of this team, and I'm just so worried that he's not going to last another whole season. He's going to get hurt again. He's not going to be ready. They're taking their time with him. I'm just, I don't know. That's the one thing that really frightens me on this team is that he's never going to be as effective as he can be because of the availability part. And I think this is the year that I'm like last year was just like, oh, again, but now I'm just kind of like it's something that's starting to haunt me with him.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly something that you can't be ignored that he's only had like one healthy season.
Yeah, I've gone from something that can't be ignored anymore to something that actively keeps me up at night.
But it's also like it's not news. I mean, he's been hurt since last year. It's a
I know, but it's kind of like hitting me now that
okay.
we're really getting serious and training camp is we're really in, and the first game is in 5 weeks, and it's just like, oh yeah, nothing should stop him from playing in week one, but I want to see him playing week one. Just because he's available week one, is he ready for week one? He
Right.
might look like he might look like shit in week one because he hasn't played. So these things are all just kind of adding to more of these great things in the coming out of my head right now. So
Um, other wide receiver. I mean, I agree with you. I get it. It's not like hitting me now though. So I just I don't know. I don't have anything to
mhm.
add. You're right. It's definitely something. Is one of my favorite guys, but availability is key, and he has not been super available. And also, I mean, the injuries are the injuries. They're all real. You know what I mean? He's not back yet for a reason, but like
Mhm.
they've also been playing him in situations where he was hurt. They continued to play him, and that they were just like not really in anything. There was no reason. Um,
Right.
so I we'll see how different that is this year and going forward because they are kind of contractually stuck with him for a little while anyway. But
Right. Right. Right.
but I get your point. In more wide receiver news, lots of interesting stuff. So number one, Bryce Ford Wheaton blew his Achilles out. That is a tremendous bummer for him. For the team, he was an excellent special teams guy. Was the guy who picked up the Isaiah Simmons blocked field goal against Seattle
Mhm.
last year and took it to the house. That sealed that game. But just in general, is an excellent gunner, the first guy down there. Really, really good part of the special teams. I think the Giants can replicate that. You know what I mean? I don't think he's so good at special teams that he's like, you know, one
A
of the
unicorn. Yeah.
exactly. So, but for him, the guy, this is just terrible because he's been dealing with like bullshit injury after bullshit injury since he came into the league. And he was a guy who, like, when he played at West Virginia, like, he was a legit deep ball wide receiver. This isn't just like some scrub that's hung on as a special teams guy. Like, he has, like, I'm sure he was hoping that after a couple years of being a key special teams guy, he would have his moment. But it's, an Achilles injury. I know these days everyone assumes every injury guys just come back from and they're great and okay. It's a tough one. That's a really bad injury. So I wish the best
It's
for him.
it's a hard road back, and it's a long time taking to get back. And even guys that come back seemingly on a miracle, it's like 8 months. It's
Oh
not,
yeah,
it's a long journey.
yeah, and that first year they're back, it's like they're 75% of who they were, and it's some of it's even mental. It's like, how much can I trust
Mhm.
my foot? So it's a big deal. In response, the Giants re-signed Gunnar Olszewski. But there's been, I don't want to say like a logjam, but a lot of good news from the wide receiver like depth chart. And I know this is like Cranky's least favorite conversation every preseason is who's wide receiver six. But it is super important because today's NFL is not 1985's NFL, where everyone plays the full season. Like every year, you can
Mhm.
count on wide receivers that you are absolutely counting on missing 3-4 games every year. So whoever that guy is that comes up, it's super important. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, is it more important to have the wide receiver 5 discussion or like who the fuck is playing left tackle? Obviously, but you get to this point and the preseason and what you're paying attention to. This is what I pay attention to and why. So the Giants had that they have Bo Collins is someone who has stood out, an undrafted free agent out of Clemson and Notre Dame. Was someone that I sat with Bobby on the Giants Nation show when we were going through all the undrafted free agents and we had to rank them. He was my highest ranked, and the Giants were not shy. They got a shitload of undrafted free agent wide receivers. To me, he looked the most smooth, the most complete. Obviously, still an undrafted free agent for a reason, but he's looked pretty smooth according to reports from training camp. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table this preseason, particularly on Saturday. And then I think when it comes to like the special teams kind of portion of it, where you've got Bryce Ford Wheaton going down, that's a key part of the special teams is usually a DB or a wide receiver that sticks out. Gunnar Olszewski, we know, is a pretty reliable special teams guy. They still have Amir Smith-Marset returning punts. I thought he did fine last year, and I think that when he's used sparingly in the offense, he can function as a wide receiver. Same with Gunnar Olszewski. And Montrell Washington has looked pretty damn good as the backup slot receiver. And why that's important is because Wan'Dale Robinson is kind of the only slot receiver on the roster. It's a guy who does get injured from time to time. He's like 5'9" or something like that. Like 180 pounds.
Dripping wet.
Yeah, exactly. And he had a scare during training camp that I think was just a fluke, where he and Brian Burns just were not looking and ran full speed into each other, and both of them were down and left practice. And Burns actually missed the whole next practice. Wan'Dale came back the next day and practiced anyway, and then immediately took a knee to the thigh and then was out again. So is it important that Montrell Washington possibly shows something? I think so.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I always. It's not that I don't feel like who's wide receiver 6 or 7 isn't important. I just think there's too much attention that's usually brought on about that battle. So I just want to clarify a little bit of my position on that. It's like, it's always one of the top 5, things that are discussed in camp. Like, what's that battle of the last wide receivers? But you're right. For a team that has been snake bit with injuries for the last several years, and we've seen us literally get guys off the street. I guess you want to have coming out of camp at least with a wide receiver room of guys you can count on in their specific roles. I'm interested a little more higher up the food chain though. Wan'Dale and Jalen Hyatt. Those are the guys I want to see. Obviously everybody's talked about Jalen Hyatt, and this is kind of a put up or shut up year with him. What do you think? What's your gut tell you about him? Is it like he is what he is, or do you think having a quarterback who puts the ball right where it needs to be and provides a deep threat is kind of what's going to unlock him, or is he just an inconsistent guy who's just not an NFL receiver?
Well, I mean, I think two things can be true at the same time, right? I do think that his production and his development has been hurt by the offense that he was stuck in the last 2 years. I think that there's absolutely some truth to that. But I also think that Jalen Hyatt is as good as Jalen Hyatt wants to be. And he still has to be a wide receiver. He came into this league as a one-trick pony who was just fast. And I would even say he's not necessarily a good deep ball receiver. I mean, in general, like, he can track the ball pretty well, but he doesn't go up and get it. You know what I mean? He's still in that college mindset of I'm 5 steps ahead of the DB and it can just land in the basket. And you can see that's just not the case. Now at the same time, but he also he had kind of a shitty attitude reportedly early last year in training camp, where he just felt like he should be on another team if he wasn't going to be used correctly, which is just not an attitude to have for a guy who's had zero production.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't really have a tremendous amount of route tree versatility. You know what I mean? Like, he is that one-trick pony, and I don't think that he does that trick particularly outstanding. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't drop the ball a lot, but like I said, he doesn't go up and get it either. So, like, you got to...
Right.
The ball is not coming to you in the NFL. You have to go get it when it's hanging out there. There are things that he can get... And also, I mean, he struggles at the release point. You know what I mean? Like, he gets in situations where he's too close to the sideline because he gets manhandled at the line of scrimmage, and by the time he gets off, he's like 3 yards closer to the sideline than he should be. There are a number of issues. That being said, he has put on 10 pounds, which, grain of salt, whatever. He's going to have to learn how to run with that weight. He's already had like 2 kind of tightness things happen in training camp. But that being said, we're recording this Monday. He just had like a really good practice, air quotes, reportedly, with a couple of different routes, some out routes. And, I think that if he can, I think that this offense naturally will open up with Russell Wilson throwing the deep ball. I think that his time last year where he was running the deep routes when he was getting targets was like sort of garbage time, where the Giants are down by like 10 points. There's 3 minutes left. They put Hyatt on the field and just have him run, just throw it deep because they need a chunk play in that moment. And it's like, it's so obvious that that's like, they don't respect the deep ball all game, and so he's basically worthless. And then when it's obvious that they're going to try and throw deep, they just bracket him and he can't do anything. So like, as hard as I'm being on him about going up and get it, some of the times he's targeted, he didn't even have a shot. Like, you know, Plaxico Burress maybe makes that catch, but you know, he's not that guy. He never was that guy of going up and being physical at the catch point and stuff like that. But so now I think when you have deep ball is really part of the offense, I think that defenses have to respect him when he's on the field every single time. They can't just like cheat down or just single cover him or anything like that. I think they really have to respect his speed, and it is otherworldly speed. It's not, you know, the Flash, but he's one of the fastest guys on the field when he's on the field.
So if the defense is respecting him more, that means there's going to be more attention to him. That means he has to be better than he was even before, because he's going to be blanketed more, or he's going to be covered tighter. So this is really put up or shut up with him, because again, he's going to be put in the best position to succeed, you know, with a quarterback who put the ball right on his fingertips. It needs to be, you know, that with a greater percentage than maybe previously. You know, an offensive line is going to give that quarterback more time to get the ball downfield. So it's really on him. And it is really, there's no more dicking around with him. He has to show, you know, starting on Saturday, that he's a serious person that can be a serious wide receiver, or else, you know, the trick will be coming for him at the end of camp.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not like we were talking about like Andrew Thomas, where it's just like, oh man, like they're locked in with Andrew Thomas. They're not really locked in with Jalen Hyatt. You know, it's not a whole bunch of money. There's not a huge dead cap hit. It's like a couple $100,000 to cut him. They don't want to do that, believe me. But they're not stuck. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, let's put it this way: they don't want to be in a position where they have to get rid of him, but they also can kind of make up their mind. But you know, okay, the track with him is going to be, we're not re-signing him when his contract is up. Like you can make those kind of like mental notes, and
I think he's way down the line on that particular track right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's got one more chance. I think this year.
I think he's got plenty of chances. You know what I mean? Like this. Yeah. I'm probably more apologetic than most other people, where I try to remember that a lot of the 2020, like statistically, like a lot of last year is a wash. You have Drew Lock back there. You have Nick Boyle back there. It became a fucking mess. So it's like, I'm not really going to pay attention too much to statistics that happened after the Carolina game. You know what I mean?
It's more like this, the smell test than it is with statistics with him.
We're going a little long here, and I want to get to other stuff. The most exciting person at camp, without a doubt, Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter, right?
Yeah. Oh my God! I knew that he was going to be disruptive. He's been described by multiple beat reporters as just completely unguardable. They are throwing fits trying to get him. And you know, Jermaine Illuminor is not a shitty tackle. He's above average. He's been fine at right tackle. He can, you know, occasionally he'll lose a rep to a Brian Burns, but you know, Brian Burns is a pretty good edge. You know what I mean? That happens. But he locks down Brian Burns sometimes. He locks down Kayvon Thibodeau at times. I don't think Jermaine Illuminor has had much success against Abdul Carter. I don't know if anyone on this offensive line, and granted it's not a great offensive line, but I don't know if anyone's really had any success blocking Abdul Carter. And I am very stoked to see him in a preseason game situation, but he's going to be a bubble wrap guy, I think, for me pretty early on. And I also don't want to...
Yeah.
I don't want to see too much chess either. Like, I know that he can move around in a lot of different ways. Please hold on to all of that stuff until the regular season. Whatever fancy ideas you have about like where you want to line him up and what kind of stunts you want to pull with him, keep it close to the vest, because I as badly as I want to see it on Saturday, I can wait till the regular season to see what ways you've
One
schemed him to just clock guys.
100%. Yeah, I mean, a guy like him is in a position now where you can make an immediate impact and look really good immediately. And I kind of would like to see like something on Saturday, something spectacular, because I desperately want this fan base to get really excited for something. Because right now, there's really not that much to get really excited about. Like even Jackson Dart, I don't think people are really, really excited about right now.
Well,
Abdul
no,
Carter,
it's like getting a car at 16 before you get a license. Is it cool? Awesome, but I can't drive it, so whatever. That's Jackson
yeah,
Dart.
exactly. But Abdul Carter is somebody that can make you excited immediately. Much, kind of so, not even more so than Malik Neighbors does on the other side of the ball. So I would like to see something like one really exciting highlight type of play where everyone's like, okay, I saw it with my real eyes against a real team. You know, we this fan base has been tortured for a little bit. And I say that in relative terms in the NFL, but it's been a bad run. Let's give people something, you know, excited and just like jazzed up for. And I think I think he's the guy to do that. I think something early in the game Saturday can really help with that too.
Yeah, I need the validation that it's not just practice, right? So like that first Saquon Barkley run in preseason against the Browns, where
Mm-hmm.
I mean like the first play of that preseason game where he just took it like 65 yards or something, just doing Saquon Barkley things. I need
Yep.
that from Abdul Carter, and then I'm good. I feel good about it. I'm not saying he shouldn't play at all after that, but like I don't need to see a ton after that.
No, no. I don't even think it's even validation because I'm very, very confident he's going to be very, very good. It's almost kind of like you know, tickle me with a feather, like, oh, I feel it. It's different than kind of like, yeah, it's this guy. Is he? I need to see it with my own eyes. It's more than that. It's like, oh, that gave me a little stiffy. I'm ready for a stiffy, Grump.
Um, I have no response to that. Moving to the defensive line, Dexter Lawrence is still rehabbing. I think he dislocated his elbow or did something last year where he's being eased his way into stuff. He's not doing any team period stuff in training camp. They went out and signed a bunch of defensive linemen this year. None of them are really separating themselves. They all look kind of bad, reportedly. Darius Alexander was their draft pick this year in the third round that they moved up to give as the very first pick in the third round. Somebody that Andre Patterson really liked at the Senior Bowl is not really standing out now, but I didn't expect him to either. You know what I mean? This is a guy that had things to work on. He was a third round pick for a reason. And also, again, this other thing where third round picks are premium picks. Yes, that's correct. But third round, the guys who are ready to plug and play are mostly gone. You're taking a swing on these guys. Occasionally, yes, a third round pick is ready to play right away, but it's a swing, and no one knew that for sure. And if they did, they would have taken him in the second round. You know what I mean? It's just how it goes. So I'm not disappointed that Darius Alexander hasn't like shown up right away in camp or anything like that, but I am interested to see him in the pass rush situation because that's where he kind of excels. Is just being that quick twitch, using his hands really fast, getting into the backfield. And I'm excited to see that. Whether, anybody else can take the reins and look like they can stop the fucking run, I really hope to see that, and I don't care who it is that does it. I don't care if it's Nacho. I don't care if it's Jeremiah Ledbetter or Roy Robertson Harris. It doesn't matter to me. Somebody's got to step up and look like they can stop the damn run.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way. Like stopping the run, getting this team, into third and longs makes the pass rush more effective. Third and long makes it much more likely they're not going to complete. Gets the defense off the field, makes the pass much more effectively. The bread and butter of this team is going to be the pass rush. Let's give it every opportunity to be successful.
Moving
and it
in,
starts with stop. It starts with stopping the run.
and every defensive coordinator says it. They all are in agreement. It starts with stopping the run. You've got to do
And
that.
it's true. It's it's a cliche, but it is 100% true. You if every time the defense is 2nd and 3 because they're gashing on first down, life is easy for an offensive coordinator and a good quarterback.
Oh yeah. Moving to linebacker, some shakeup there. Ty Summers was put on IR. They count on him a lot for special teams. They also have Chris Board there, Deontay Johnson, and Darius Musow. I think Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden are pretty much penciled in. Darius Musow probably as well, since he's a draft pick and they seem to like him. It was getting meaningful snaps week 1 last year. But I do think it'll be interesting. What I want to see Saturday is those 3 guys: Darius Musow, Deontay Johnson, and Chris Board, to see how that kind of depth chart shakes out, both in the special teams play and as legitimate linebackers. Not a super interesting spot to talk about, but it did get slightly more interesting with Ty Summers going to IR. I thought he not like a lock, but I thought he would be like a
inside track guy, maybe.
Yeah. Most interesting thing at corner is they are legitimately rotating Cordell Flott and Deontay Banks as cornerback 2. Every day they're alternating until Flott started dealing with an injury, and only then did we start seeing Banks do multiple days in a row. I want to say that this was just to push Deontay Banks and keep his head in the right direction. But as camp goes by and he continues to not get his head around, and again,
yeah,
I'm going to keep saying this. Forget about where Deontay Banks was drafted. Corners drafted in the first round bust all the time. I forget about that. Deontay Banks as a corner is usually in good coverage. Doesn't get his head around to make a play on the ball a lot of the time. And that is a problem. He needs to get better at it. But it's not the end of the world that there's an incomplete pass that would have been an interception for him. You know what I mean? I know that people want him to be an asset right now. I think right now he needs to get his head out of his ass and just be confident, not have effort things this year, and just blanket guys. Just be good in coverage and keep being good in run support and being a good tackler. And I'm okay with that this year. Am I okay with that ultimately being who Deontay Banks is? No, but I mean, also,
I can't worry about next year until I worry about this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, the way I look at it was, yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was, the Flott rotating in and out with him was thinking to push him, but the longer that they were swapping out between first and second, the less I thought that, because you have to start getting ready for the season.
No, I think at this point, I think it is a legit competition.
I think it's a competition. Yeah, I'm not sure if it started out that way, but I think it is now.
And I'll add one more thing. I'm glad that it's Cordell Flott. I like that Cordell Flott is on the outside. I have always thought that he was better on the outside. I think that he only played in the slot at LSU that last year because they had injuries just all over the place. Every time he plays on the outside, he looks good to me. Not great, whatever, but like that's where he looks comfortable to me. He's locking down like AJ Brown at times. Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, the expectation is that corner, but this competition is now for cornerback 2. They're not going to be going up against the elite wide receivers in the division or rest of the league, so they should have more success against lesser wide receivers normally than they would have maybe last year.
Yes. Gun to your head, who is the starting cornerback 2 week 1?
Thanks.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way. I still think that they want him to have it.
I think they're going to need to be. I think the competition is too close and Ty goes to the incumbent.
Right.
I think they're going to have to be proven wrong. And I think, looking gun to my head, crystal ball, I think it's going to be something attitude related that gets him out of the, he loses the starting job. I don't think it's bad play. I think it's something where, he loped on a play, or we see another relapse into some of the things we didn't like. It's not just the guy's toast. He keeps getting burnt. That's an effort play. That's a non-thinking play, and the coaching staff has had enough. That's what I think it's going to be.
I agree. I don't have anything really to talk about with the safeties, with Javon Holland and Tyler Nubin in particular. So I kind of want to just piggyback off of this conversation about Deonte Banks and this training camp, and that I am impressed that this does not seem like the Brian Dable Club Med training camp. He is guys who have pre-snap penalties are being pulled for either a drive or a play or whatever. Like he's being like this rotation with Cordell Flott and Deonte Banks is for real. Like no one is, and if you go back to that first year, like Darius Slayton had to earn his way onto this team. He was the leading receiver the year before and ended up being the leading receiver. So like he had to fight and claw. I think it was like week 3 he finally got his way up to the depth chart.
I think there's a little subtle thing too. Like Jackson Dart is getting a lot of snaps with the twos, where I think that's a message to Jameis Winston. I think that, Jameis Winston's coming in here with a perception of being like, the goofy guy and the clown and but I think this is the way to push him. That just because you signed a 2-year deal here, that doesn't mean that, you are gifted the backup job or something. I think he's being pushed. And I think that's part of this, not being a Club Med training camp, that even guys like him that, are pretty safe with the roster are being challenged and pushed to a degree.
I don't know about that, but a
little. I mean, I don't want a guy like Jameis Winston in here coming in just being comfortable and being a jackass.
I mean, let's be honest. You could have ended that sentence with, "I didn't want a guy like Jameis Winston in here."
Of course not. I don't want. I just don't understand how this nation is fooled by a guy who acts like a jackass and people think it's funny. I mean, the guy isn't a serious guy, and he's also, we all know what I think of him, but I want him to be kept real, and I think just I don't think they're playing Dart more at the twos necessarily to worry about Jameis Winston. I think it's a good byproduct of the fact that they're trying to push Jackson Dart. It's also kind of pushing Jameis Winston a little bit too.
I mean,
James Winston has to be good to be that number 2, to be that backup. If he plays like shit or he's not making smart decisions, he could be the 3.
I mean, I do think it's a constant reminder that's like, look, this is our plan here. So like, you are the backup guy. You're just the backup here. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, right.
But don't take it for granted,
Russell Wilson has announced as the starter. That has been announced. Brian Dable confirmed it. That's what's going to happen. And this is a constant reminder. It's like, this is the guy that we want ready. So if he's ready early, then he becomes the guy, not you. So you are the backup. You are the in case of emergency kind of thing.
Let's go back a bit. You mentioned something really quickly about guys are running sprints for these pre-snap penalties. And all these pre-snap penalties,
they're not running sprints. They're being pulled out.
They're being pulled. Is this a concern for you, all these pre-snap penalties, or you think that's just a byproduct of it's training camp and we have a new quarterback and just getting we're getting into routine, we're getting into working together. I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal now. What I see in preseason games will be an increasingly bigger deal. Again, they're just preseason games, but that's the dress rehearsal, right? So like,
right.
If you were putting on a performance and you had 3 dress rehearsals and the first one you fucked up 12 times, I'm pretty sure you'd be shitting bricks. So I mean, but it's more so. Am I concerned? No, but my comment was more so that Brian Dable is not having it. His patience is as thin as it gets. He's not fucking around anymore. And that was my thing with Brian Dable. It's like, one of the things I could not stand is that, like, we're acting like this is just summer camp here and it's not important and we can just, everyone's together and we're laughing and, oh, let's end practice early. And like, no, you suck. This team sucks. This franchise sucks. We don't get the benefit of taking anything off. We don't even have, like, if you were to name, like, if 31 other franchises were like, would you like any players from the Giants? There's only like 4 guys that people are even discussing. So it's like, we are not a team that deserves to get anything handed to us. It must be earned.
4 guys. I think there's only 4 guys in the division that people want. Not
exactly.
The whole league. I like what you said, and I hope this is what you're doing is treating training camp and the preseason games like dress rehearsals.
Right.
Not as, think of the arc of a Broadway production. Tryouts are way down here.
Hmm.
When you get close to opening night, you're not trying out people, you're dress rehearsing. And I think for too long, the Giants and most of the league is treating preseason like tryouts, where they should be preparing it like dress rehearsals. And if we are having a mindset that's more like that, I think that's a competitive advantage that this team will have that will help us in the beginning of the year. So
I'm
hopefully, yes, hopefully that's the way we're treating this as a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand that coaches are a little handcuffed in what they can, not just by the rules. You know what I mean? That's a whole other conversation that I don't even think needs to be had. Everyone knows that, the CBA and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. But in general, they're handcuffed by this generation's personalities and entitlement and not feeling like they need to work, and veteran. I was kind of born and raised in a situation more like Tom Coughlin school of thought of like you practice the way you're going to play in everything that you do. You make your bed in the morning, you make it right and you make it correctly and you do it right away and you get it done. You just do work. Just wake up and go to work. That's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
the loafing around, and like I understand, like coaches do have to navigate these different personalities and guys that will just demand trades and stomp their feet and sit out and all this other. I get it. I really do get it. But to me, I mean, I just, it's very difficult for me, and being on the sidelines with no control or whatever, it's just agitating to see, things
That's
not being
why
taken seriously.
that's why I thought it was interesting that Coughlin spoke to the team this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Coughlin is the antithesis of what the modern league is now. Like, a lot of these guys, they're 23, 24. They were how old when Coughlin was the coach here? First of all. And second of all, Tom Coughlin could be George Hallis to them. Just, he was one of the last of the old school coaches when he was here, which was a long time ago. So I thought it was weird that, he's not preaching to the choir when he's giving them a speech about what it takes to be successful. I think it's just almost kind of like, the fuck's this old guy talking? And he's not talking to me. So that was kind of interesting. I appreciate the sentiment of why they did it. I just don't know if it had any effectiveness at all.
If it resonated.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just weird to me that in all sports, football, because I don't know. I could rant about this all day. I don't want to waste time with it. But football, of all things, is like you have someone trying to take your head off for money on the other side of the ball. To lollygag through any amount of practice just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I just don't get that. Like, it's the same thing as preparing for war. You wouldn't go to boot camp and hear the bugle at 5 a.m. and be like, nah, that's snooze. You know what I mean? That's snooze.
And if you want to look at this at the way these guys think now, I just don't see how it helps your brand if you're perceived as being a pussy.
Well, yeah, I just don't even understand. If you told me as a kid that NFL players would be doing TikTok dances, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even know what to say to you. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I would deck Juju Smith-Schuster. I would pile drive his ass into the ground if you had asked me as a kid. Like, I'm saying, like, if we were the same age and whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in the words of a wise man from Office Space, shit, man, they kick your ass if you do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Case of the Mondays.
Different world we live in now. So
yeah,
we're just the old boomers.
So Saturday, Bills Giants. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be on my couch watching, and actually watching.
Oh, usually, how about that? I was going to say, I thought you don't usually give too. Oh, I mean, you watch. You don't go.
I watch it. I don't. I'm considering going to the Jet Giant game because I have nothing else going on. But yeah, I watch these preseason games. Sure, they're home. I mean, I wouldn't cancel any plans like I do for a regular season game for preseason. But Saturday, I'm just going to be on the couch and just watching, and I'll have my little notepad and I'll be taking notes and You know, not trying to overreact to certain things and just kind of seeing what I see. I'm trying to get out of the overreaction business for what I see in the first training camp, preseason game.
Yeah, I agree. I will be live streaming this game with Bobby on Giants Nation show actually. So
Oh,
he and I discussed this. I think just yesterday. I don't know. The days are all blending together. Either just yesterday or the day before. And I was like, yeah, would you be down to do that? I think it's a 1 o'clock game. Like I think yeah, let's do that. So that's that. I don't even think he's made that announcement yet, but I did get the go ahead that I was allowed to break that.
ooh,
So on
a
YouTube on
Giants
Giants Nation
Nation,
show. Yeah, we will be live
Giants
streaming the
Nation
game.
scoop.
uh,
I might even dial in then. Maybe who knows?
yeah, so that'll be interesting. I think the only other time I live streamed a game was when we did
Daniel,
it with the Raiders game.
when Daniel Jones was done.
Yeah,
So
absolutely cooked. And Justin was going to jump out of the building
yeah,
from
so
like the
here's my
15th
thought.
floor.
So when Jackson Dart comes in, I would like you to leave the room. Jump, please get off the live stream. I don't want any bad juju with that.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah,
it's me probably.
I think so. I think there's a 63% chance it's you. So
I you know what? I could just I'll put like a blindfold on. I'll just like because I can't leave the show. I'll just like put the bandana over the eyes, and instead of like the actual headphones, I'll just have like earmuffs, so I can't see, I can't hear, and I'll just talk and be like
it'll be better
knock
the
twice if he's
analysis
out
you'll
of the
get.
game.
It's better the analysis you'll get on ESPN or something. So it's probably not a bad idea.
Oh, they have blindfolds and earmuffs on anytime they're not talking about LeBron James.
Well, it's a good thing they just bought NFL Network and Red Zone. So
Yeah.
that sounds like it's good for us, the fans.
That's a whole other episode. But so next
Mhm.
week we will be back on Just Giants where we will discuss the results from this preseason game on Saturday and any upcoming news that comes up and training camp, injury news, whatever's going on around the division. We didn't talk about Micah Parsons or Terry McLaurin today, so maybe we'll talk about that next week. Yeah, any parting words?
No, I mean this is the first weekend from now until the middle of February where we have football every week. So our long national nightmare of summer and ends, and we have football. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We'll question that hallelujah-ness if the Giants are 2-7, but for right now, we're all undefeated. So let's go Giants.
That's right. So we'll see you guys next week. Until then, go Giants.
Go Giants.